relax and receive, why letting go brings everything you want. Have you ever wondered why the things you crave most in life seem to slip right through your fingers? Love, success, recognition. The harder you chase them, the further they drift away. You hustle, you sacrifice, you pour your energy into your goals, yet somehow the results feel distant, elusive. What if the problem isn't that you're not doing enough, but that you're trying too hard? It's like a magnet. The more you force it, the more it repels. But when you let go, when you release control, the magnet begins to draw things in effortlessly. The same principle applies to your life. When you stop grasping, things begin to flow. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happens as it should, and you will find peace." Picture a plant in a garden. You can water it all day, hover over it, and obsess over its growth. But only when you step back and trust the natural process does the plant truly flourish. Your goals are no different. You face a choice: keep forcing things, or let go and trust that what's meant for you will come, in its own time, in its own way. Because the moment you stop struggling, you begin attracting. So how can you manifest your desires without the chase, without the stress, and without clinging to every outcome? Stay with me, because what you'll discover next could shift your entire reality. 1. Detach from the outcome, the freedom hidden in letting go. There is a quiet shift that happens when you stop obsessing over results. A subtle but powerful transformation. You move from desperation to presence, from anxiety to peace. And in that shift, life starts to unfold, not according to your rigid expectations, but with a grace that feels almost effortless. We live in a culture obsessed with outcomes. Whether it's landing a dream job, building a relationship, or hitting a personal milestone, we're taught to believe that focus equals control. But the Stoics would argue the opposite. Control is an illusion, and obsession is a form of suffering. When your mind is fixated on the end result, you create internal resistance. You begin to operate not from inspiration, but from fear. Fear of failure, fear of time slipping away. And in that state, your actions become frantic rather than focused, rigid instead of fluid. Seneca once wrote, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." This is the cost of clinging to outcomes. You suffer over a future that hasn't even arrived yet. True power, real manifestation, comes when you shift your focus back to what you can control, your attitude, your effort, your energy in the present moment. The outcome? That's not your business. That belongs to time, fate, and the natural order of things. Let me share a real story. A friend of mine, let's call her Lily, was determined to hit a career milestone. She worked tirelessly, checked all the boxes, sacrificed her peace for progress. But the more she pushed, the more the goals seemed to evade her. Exhaustion set in. Frustration followed. Until one day her mentor offered a quiet insight: give your best effort, then step back. Let the results arrive when they're ready. Lily took those words to heart. She shifted her focus from the when to the how well, from controlling the future to showing up fully each day. And in time, almost unexpectedly, opportunities began to appear. The very doors she once tried to break down began to open with ease. That's the power of detachment. So how do you practice this? First, focus on your input, not the outcome. Pour your energy into what's in front of you. Second, release perfectionism. Trust that your best is enough. Third, stay present. Don't chase the future, build the now. Because when you detach from the outcome, you reclaim your inner freedom. You stop trying to force life and start co-creating with it. And that's when the extraordinary begins to happen. 2. Master your mindset. The world you see begins within. The world isn't what it is, it's what you believe it to be. In every moment, your mind filters reality. It interprets, colors, and shapes every experience you live through. This means that before you can change your life, you must first change the lens through which you view it. That lens is your mindset. Most people don't realize how deeply their thoughts dictate their lives. They wake up reacting, rushed by deadlines, trapped by fears, hijacked by the opinions of others. But what if you could rise above that noise? What if the most valuable skill you could ever master was the ability to direct your thoughts? Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In just one sentence, he gave us the key to inner peace and outer success. Your thoughts are seeds. Plant fear, you'll grow hesitation. Plant anger, you'll harvest conflict. But plant clarity, courage, and calm, you'll create a garden of growth that feeds every area of your life. This doesn't mean denying life's challenges. Stoicism never taught us to ignore pain or pretend all is well. It taught us to meet reality with courage and clarity, to respond, not react. Let me tell you about Rachel. She was constantly overwhelmed by work, by uncertainty, by the endless pressure to have it all figured out. Her mind raced from one fear to the next, and yet nothing changed until she did. She didn't quit her job or escape her responsibilities. She simply decided to reclaim her power by mastering her mindset. Through daily mindfulness, journaling, and mental rewiring, Rachel began to slow down. She started choosing her thoughts rather than being ruled by them. Gradually, the anxiety faded. Where she once saw pressure, she began seeing purpose. Where there were problems, she found possibilities. So how do you begin to master your mindset? Step 1. Become aware. Notice the thoughts looping in your head. Are they empowering or limiting? Step 2. Reframe. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't do this," replace it with, "This is a challenge I'm built to grow through." Step 3. Ground yourself in the now. The present moment is where your power lives, not in the regrets of the past or the fears of the future. Because here's the truth, when you change your thoughts, you change your life. Not overnight, not with force, but steadily and from the inside out. Control your perception and you'll begin to control your experience. Train your mind, and the world will start to mirror that inner strength back to you. 3. Trust in divine timing. Let life unfold at its own pace. We live in a world addicted to speed, instant results, instant gratification. We rush through life as if it's a race, measuring our worth by how quickly we arrive, rather than how deeply we grow. But what if the very things you're chasing require time to become? The Stoics knew this truth well. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly." And he was right. Nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. A tree does not bloom before its roots are ready. And your life, your dreams, your purpose is no different. There is a rhythm to existence that we often overlook in our desperation for control. But when you force the rhythm, you disrupt the harmony. You might get somewhere faster, but it won't be where your soul truly belongs. Sophie was one of those people who ran hard after success. She had the vision, the work ethic, the drive. But no matter how hard she pushed, doors kept closing. The faster she ran, the more lost she felt. Eventually, she burned out. One evening, in quiet exhaustion, she chose a new path: surrender. Not in weakness, but in wisdom. She began focusing not on the result, but on the readiness within her. She worked on her skills, deepened her relationships, nurtured her inner world. And without warning, life began to shift. The doors that once stayed shut opened effortlessly. This is the paradox. When you stop trying to rush what's meant for you, you become the version of yourself who's finally ready to receive it. So how do you begin to trust in divine timing? First, let go of control. Release the idea that things must happen on your schedule. Second, shift your focus inward. Instead of chasing outcomes, chase growth. Become the kind of person your goals are drawn to. Third, embrace patience, not as passive waiting, but as active trust. Faith is not about sitting still. It's about showing up, doing your part, and knowing that what's meant for you will arrive, not a second too soon or too late. The Stoics taught us that time is not our enemy, it's our ally. When you align with the natural order of things, when you stop fighting the current, you allow life to carry you where you're truly meant to go. Let your life bloom in its own season. Because in the stillness, in the space where you release the timeline, you make room for miracles. 4. Act with purpose, not desperation. Move from intention, not fear. There's a quiet energy that surrounds someone who knows exactly who they are and where they're going. It's not loud. It's not frantic. It doesn't beg for attention or results. It simply moves, deliberate, steady, and calm. That is the energy of purpose. Now contrast that with desperation. Desperation is loud. It's exhausting. It shouts, grabs, and clings to anything that even looks like progress. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Desperation repels what you seek. Because when your actions are driven by fear, fear of missing out, fear of failure, fear of running out of time, you become ungrounded, reactive, out of alignment with yourself. Epictetus once advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. That's not just advice, it's a formula. Define your essence, then let your actions be an extension of that clarity. Jack didn't realize this at first. In his career, he was running at full speed, chasing every lead, saying yes to every opportunity, exhausting himself in pursuit of success. But nothing was clicking. He was constantly overwhelmed, constantly behind. Then he stopped. Not because he gave up, but because he finally woke up. He asked himself the deeper question, what kind of man do I want to become? Not just what job he wanted, but what legacy he wanted to live. From there, things began to shift. He said no more often. He set clearer goals. He worked with calm, not chaos. And slowly, the success that once eluded him began to arrive, this time on his terms. That's the difference between motion and movement. So how can you act with purpose instead of desperation? First, get clear on your identity. Not just your goals, but your values. Who are you becoming through your journey? Second, take intentional steps. Every action should be a reflection of that inner clarity, not a reaction to external pressure. Third, walk with quiet confidence. Let go of the urge to force, to chase, to scramble. What's meant for you will be drawn to the energy of someone who moves with calm certainty. When your actions are anchored in purpose, you become magnetic. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you radiate alignment. And people, opportunities respond to that. Desperation is noise. Purpose is signal. Make sure the life you're building is transmitting the right frequency. 5. Let go of control. Freedom begins where control ends. We spend so much of our lives trying to hold the reins of everything, gripping tightly to outcomes, relationships, futures, even people's opinions of us. But the harder we try to control the world around us, the more it slips through our fingers. Why? Because control is a beautiful illusion and a painful prison. The Stoics were clear. Your power begins the moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Epictetus said it with striking simplicity. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Let that settle in. Freedom doesn't come from dominating your circumstances. It comes from mastering your inner world, your thoughts, your actions, your responses. Because that's all you ever truly own. Anna learned this the hard way. She was a chronic worrier, always anxious about the future, always tangled in the opinions of others, always stressed over things that refused to be tamed. No matter how hard she worked or how carefully she planned, something always felt off. Her peace was fragile, easily broken by uncertainty. Until one day she made a choice. She stopped trying to predict the future and started focusing on her present self. She began practicing stillness. Instead of micromanaging every outcome, she poured her energy into becoming steady, grounded, and intentional. And as her inner world calmed, her outer world responded. Opportunities flowed. Stress dissolved. Not because life became easier, but because she stopped resisting it. So how do you begin to let go of control? Step 1. Identify what's actually yours to hold. Your mindset, your reactions, your habits, that's your domain. Everything else? Let it breathe. Step 2. Release the fantasy of certainty. Life is fluid. Plans will change. People will disappoint. And that's okay. Step 3. Embrace the unknown, not as a threat, but as sacred space. The unknown is where growth begins, where magic lives. The Stoics knew that the more you cling, the more you suffer. But when you finally release your grip, you discover that peace isn't something you chase. It's something that arises when you stop fighting reality. Control is heavy. Letting go is light. And when you stop trying to direct every wave, you become the one who learns how to ride the ocean. 6. Embody the energy of abundance. Live as if you already have enough. What if the secret to getting everything you desire is realizing you already have enough? We spend so much of our lives chasing more money, more recognition, more success. But chasing comes from a subtle message to the universe: I don't have enough yet. And that message, whether spoken aloud or whispered silently in your energy, creates a state of lack. It tells life, I am incomplete. But the Stoics offered a radical shift in perspective. Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. In other words, abundance isn't a number, it's a state of mind. When you live in the energy of abundance, you stop waiting for the world to give you permission to feel whole. You stop chasing and start attracting. You walk through life already full, and the world responds to your wholeness. James used to live in pursuit. He thought fulfillment lived at the top of a career ladder, in a certain bank balance, in the applause of others. But the higher he climbed, the emptier it felt. Until one day he paused. He looked around at his life, not at what was missing, but at what was already there. Health, friendship, time, skills. He began practicing daily gratitude, not as a ritual, but as a remembrance. I already have enough to feel abundant today. And something powerful happened. As he stopped grasping, the opportunities he once strained for began to come to him, without force, without fear. This is the paradox. When you embody abundance, you no longer chase, and yet what you once chased begins to find you. So how can you begin to shift into this abundant energy? First, practice gratitude like it's your daily fuel. Not just saying thank you, but feeling it. Savor what already exists. Second, let go of the scarcity script. Stop measuring your life by what's missing, and start honoring what's already flowing. Third, act from fullness. Make decisions from the energy of I have enough, not I need more. Because when you live from a place of sufficiency, life expands around you. You make space not just for more, but for better. Not just for success, but for peace. The energy you live in is the signal you send out. Choose abundance, and watch as the world reflects it back in ways you never imagined. 7. Take aligned action and let go. Do the work, then trust the wind. There's a quiet truth that lives at the heart of every fulfilled life. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters and then letting go. In a world that glorifies the grind, we've been conditioned to believe that effort alone guarantees results. But that's only half the equation. What the Stoics and the wise before them understood is this: action must be aligned and attachment must be released. Seneca once wrote, effort and patience will achieve more than force and anxiety. This isn't just philosophy, it's a way of living that frees you. Grace didn't know this at first. She was chasing her business goals with relentless drive. Long hours, high stress, endless doing. But the harder she pushed, the more things stalled. She was planting seeds, yes, but also suffocating them with her urgency. Until one day, her mentor told her something that changed everything. Take the right actions, then release the timeline. Grace shifted. She began showing up with clarity, not chaos. She stopped trying to control every outcome and instead focused on taking purposeful steps. Aligned, thoughtful, soul-led action. And when she did, things started to move. Not because she forced them, but because she stopped resisting the natural pace of life. This is the secret. When you act from alignment and release attachment, you become a partner with life, not a prisoner of it. So how can you live this? First, take action that's rooted in your values. Ask yourself, does this move reflect who I'm becoming? Second, trust the process. Show up, do the work, and know that results will come in their own season, not yours. Third, let go of the outcome. Not out of apathy, but out of confidence. You've done your part. Now let the wind carry it. Because here's the truth. When you release the need to control the how and when, you make room for life to surprise you. You open yourself to divine timing, unseen opportunities, and outcomes greater than you could have planned. The Stoics didn't teach inaction. They taught intentional action without obsession. They taught us to sow with care, and then rest in the knowing that nature will take it from there. You're not here to push harder. You're here to walk lighter, with purpose, with patience, and with trust. Aligned action. Detached heart. That's the path where peace and success meet. If this message spoke to you, if something within you stirred, nodded, or whispered yes, then this isn't just another video. It's a mirror. A reminder that you already have everything you need within you. The calm, the clarity, the courage. You don't need to chase life anymore. You need only to align with it. Walk with purpose. Trust the process. Let go of what isn't yours to carry. And in doing so, you won't just attract what you desire. You'll become the person who was always meant to receive it. So now I invite you, not just to watch, but to walk this path with me. Like this video if it resonated. Comment below with one insight you're taking away, or simply write, I trust the process. Subscribe if you're ready for more Stoic wisdom and modern mindset tools that help you live deeply, not just fast. This isn't the end. This is where it begins, for you and for all of us choosing to live from intention, not reaction. From stillness, not struggle. Thank you for being here. Let's keep learning. Let's keep growing. Together.